On today's episode of the Owning It podcast, I would like to tell everyone the story of how I launched my first book at 18, how I published my first book at 18 actually. So I want everyone to sit tight, grab a cup of coffee or tea, whatever you take, and let's just get into the story. Hi, I'm God's Delight Agu, and this is the Owning It podcast. Being a woman is hard enough, but being a woman in Africa, even harder. You're expected to be a good daughter, a good wife, a good mother, and still slay in your career. There are expectations from everywhere: family, friends, culture, society, religion, the list goes on. And every day we face challenges: physical, emotional, financial, and even professional. Sometimes you stop and wonder, is all of this even worth it? Owning It is a podcast where African women tell unfiltered stories of resilience, healing, and truth in their own words. We're here to help women own their stories, the good, the bad, and the ugly. As a storyteller and lover of stories myself, I'll be inviting some of my female friends and women I deeply admire. Together, we'll laugh, cry, unlearn, and grow as they share the battles they fought, the boldness it took to become who they are. If you've ever felt unseen, unheard, or unworthy, this space is for you. New episodes drop every Wednesday, so be sure to subscribe and join the conversation every week. Like Michelle Obama once said, your story is what you have, what you always have. It is something to own. So let's own it together. Welcome to the Owning It podcast. So for anybody that have been following my journey online for a really long time, one of the things you will first hear me say, or one of the first things you will hear me talk about is how I started writing at a very, very young age. I really can't remember when exactly I started writing, but I just like to say I started writing at 6. I know it must have been earlier than that. So here is what happened. I actually started drawing before I started writing. So I think it was back in 2004, 2005, or maybe 2004. My mom and I have a younger brother who is 2 years younger than me, and we're really close in age. So whenever we were together, my mom, my dad, my younger brother, I would just take up a piece of paper and start drawing. I'll tell my parents, "Oh, you push, you sit down. You push, you sit down well. Sit down well. Let me draw you." That's what I used to always say. So I would draw them. I will paint it, and then I will label it. Maybe mommy and daddy eating. Maybe myself and my younger brother. Different little things like that. So I was an artist as a child. I loved to draw. Now, as time went on, I also started writing. When I started learning how to spell, how to put words together, I started writing. So when I now started writing, so those mommy and daddy eating will now become a little bit more longer. I would add some more sentences to what they were doing, the activity they were taking. So after a period of time, I would write storybooks, and one page is a drawing, the next page is writing. One page is drawing, the next page is writing. And then one day, I don't know what came over me. I was just like, you know what? This book I want to write this time around. I don't want to have any drawings in this book. I just want to write. And that was what I did. I wrote straight. And after writing that book, I think that was when I lost my ability to draw. So ever since then, I no longer draw. I just focus fully on writing. So I've been writing for a really, really long time. Writing is something that I've done the longest. So if you subtract that from my age, I would say I've been writing for about 2 decades now, which is just crazy. I've always loved writing. And one of the things that also pushed me, encouraged me, inspired me about writing was that my dad was also a writer. From when I was really young, I saw a lot of my daddy's published books in the house. So it made sense for me to know that, okay, writing is actually a thing. My dad's twin brother too was a writer. So it also made sense. I saw some of his published work anytime we visited him. My dad's twin's son, who is my cousin, my favorite cousin, Emeka, you always hear me talk about him. I talked about him during my last solo episode as well. So Emeka was also a writer as well. And it just made sense. Writing was our thing, storytelling was our thing. So I've been writing for a very, very, very long time. I've written all sorts of stories as a child. I wrote several stories, Wicked Stepmother, I can't even remember caption of most of the books I've written in my lifetime, but it was actually just a lot. I've written quite a lot of books. So as the years went by, there was school, there was writing. Every time in class, I remember my primary school days, I would always tear the middle of my paper, the middle of my exercise books, fold them together to form a storybook, design the front, and write the story inside and distribute it to my classmates. I don't know if such things still happen these days. Well, yeah, that was how I actually started putting my work together. My classmates would read it. Some of my books were destroyed. I remember one girl in primary school that destroyed Johnny and his family. I wrote that whole book in inside a drawing book, and she just destroyed it. So sad. I've been writing for a really long time. But something was that through my primary school, through my secondary school, I never published any of my work. Like I mentioned, my dad had published books at home. So I've seen people publish their work, but I myself, there was never an opportunity for any of my books to be published. Now, towards the time I was turning 18, around my 17th year, I was wondering, okay, I'm entering 18. 18 is such a remarkable time in the life of anybody. That's when you become a legal, when you become an adult legally. So I said, this one thing I've been doing for over 12 years now, and I don't really have anything to show for it apart from my manuscripts. I want to publish one of my books. So that was just how the idea came to me. I just wanted to have something to prove myself as a writer. I wanted to have something to show that, okay, if I say I'm a writer, then I should have a book with my name on it. And that was how the whole thought about wanting to publish a book at 18 came about. So the book I published at 18 was called A Palm of the Hand. A Palm of the Hand. And that was a story I wrote a couple of years before that year. I'd written that story maybe like 2014, 2015. Because back then, when I was in secondary school, when I'm on holidays, I usually use my holidays to write stories. So I think one of my holidays while still in secondary school, I worked on that book. And the book was about a young boy from a village, and his dad was a king, sent him abroad to Russia, and then he had gotten he had gotten a girl pregnant in the village before going to wow, crazy story, trust me, really, really crazy story. I don't want to spoil the entire book. I don't know if I'm going to republish the book, so let's just leave it at that. Where the idea came from is what I can't even remember right now. I really can't remember what inspired that story. But a part of the book was set in Nigeria and a part of the book was set in Russia. It involved a lot of research. I had to research a lot about Russia. I didn't even have a smartphone at that time. So I had to make do of, I think, my mom's phone and Wikipedia. See, you guys, I use Wikipedia so much because Wikipedia just sends you down a rapid hole. And I think then there was something called Free Basics. So with Free Basics, you don't need to buy data to browse. I don't know if it's still a thing nowadays. And one of the free websites is Wikipedia. So I used to use Wikipedia to browse since I couldn't use Google. So just use Wikipedia and make all the research. I had to learn basic greeting words in Russia and all and all and all. It was amazing. I really can't remember what exactly inspired the story, but it was such a good story. Like when I wanted to publish a book, my cousin Emeka was like, okay, so which book would you like to publish? That was our go-to. I think I showed him a couple of my works and he was like, this is the one. And that was how the entire book came about. So let me talk a bit about the writing process. The writing process. How long did it take me to, be consistent? How did I stay consistent to finish the book? Honestly, I really can't remember a lot of those details. I wrote that book on pen and paper. Actually, the last time I wrote a book was 2020, which is so sad. That's like half a decade. I've not written in half a decade. So sad. The last time I wrote a book was 2020, and that was long before I even got access to like computers and laptop, a phone, to type it. So my first book, I wrote it on pen and paper like I would all of those years. I think I wrote it during the holiday time. Were there battles I faced? No, I didn't ever feel like, who am I to write a book? Because like I said already, I come from a family of writers. I come from a family of storytellers. So I knew that I had what it takes to actually be a writer and to be an author. So no, there was never a point of doubt for me. And then I was ready to publish. I knew that I wanted to publish my first book at 18. I didn't want to become an adult without having a piece of work of mine, since writing is something I've always done. So I knew I was ready because I was turning 18. So that was how the entire writing process was hard, because I didn't have internet, had to write manually. But when the whole story came together, it was so beautiful. It made sense to me. Quick break. I want to tell you about something really special. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, mentally drained, or like nobody really gets you, I know a space that might just change everything. It's called Mutation Monthly Series, a talk show I'm a part of, where young people between 16 and 35 gather every last Sunday of the month to talk real talk about our mental health, our emotions, and healing in a world that doesn't always make room for it. It's completely free, super chill, and honestly feels more like a conversation with friends than an event. You can join us physically in Lagos at number 13 George's Co Estate off College Road, Oba. Or if you're not in Lagos, no worries. We stream live on YouTube. Just search Mutation Monthly Series, subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn on post notifications to get notified when we go live. If you want to register, head over to Team Mutation International on Instagram and tap the link in bio. Healing looks different for everyone. This might just be what yours looks like. So moving on to how I was able to publish the book. I actually published the book without having an author. What route did I take, you might be asking? I used the local publisher, like, all these people that print books, right? People that print books. So it happens that a friend of mine at the time, Stephen Issa, his dad used to work with a printing press. So I just had to just talk with him and tell him, oh, I'm looking forward to publishing my book. What do I need to provide for the book and all and all? Trust me, it was a really scrappy. Trust me. Like I said before, I had the book on pen and paper. Then I had to give my cousin Emeka the manuscript. He had to type the words. He had to proofread the work. He had to edit the work. Like, it was a whole lot. Like, Emeka had a lot of work on his desk for a really, really long time. It got to a point, because I didn't even know at that time how much work it took to work on things like that. So first week, second week, I'll be like, Emeka, when is my book going to be ready? When is my book going to be ready? Because he had to have everything typed, he had to have everything proofread, he had to have everything edited. So he was serving as the typewriter or typist. He was serving as the proofreader. He was serving as the editor. Trust me, that book would not have existed if Emeka didn't put in all the work that he put into that work. So that was how we went about it. I didn't do any of the formatting or printing, no. Pricing, I think Mr. Issa told us the cost of it. My parents were able to raise some money. I think about 30,000 naira was what we used. This was 2017, so that was a long time ago, almost 10 years now. How did I fund it? Like I said, my parents funded it. So no, I didn't have any money at that time, obviously. Were there any mistakes made? Of course, a ton of mistakes were made. For instance, tell me why I wrote a book, and instead of using my government name, which is God's Delight Agu or Agu God's Delight Chimbuchi. Instead, I decided I was going to use a pen name. Guess what the pen name is? Paul de Botch. Like, who does that? It was crazy, but I mean, at that point in my life, it sounded really, really cute. So you'll be wondering, where did the name come from? So Paul is my dad's first name. D is from Delight, and Botch is from my middle name, which is Chimbuchi. So I called it Paul de Botch. It sounded really cute to me, and I just wanted to use a pen name. So that was one mistake I made. I should never write a book using a pen name. I should use my actual government name. If I was going to do it over again, I'm going to use my government name. I have learned this. Even when I started using Facebook, I built my brand on a certain name, Bookie Eyes. Some people still call me Bookie today because that was what they knew me by. Honestly, I don't know what I was thinking at that point, but if you're doing anything, maybe a young person listening to this and you want to publish it, please use your government name. I mean, it can't be that bad. It's your name, so just embrace it. So that's one of the things that I did that I wasn't really cool with. Something else is the book really did not have any, all those pages. Once you open the book, I just have only one copy of this book left right now. Once you open the book, it takes you straight to the book, like chapter 1. There is no copyright page, there is no dedication, there is no acknowledgement. All those other extra pages that used to be in front of book before you get into the main book. I did not have it inside my own book, which is just very crazy. So, yeah, that was something that did not go well. It was something that really did not go well because I pick up the book, I look at it and I'm not proud of it. I didn't have an ISBN number. I didn't have that. I didn't even know what that was. I just published the book. Something else that wasn't, something else that was a mistake that we made was that because we're low on cash, imagine publishing a book for 30,000 naira. We were only able to get about 30 or 40 copies. I'm not sure it was up to 40 copies, maybe about 30 copies. And those 30 copies finished exactly during the book launch. At the end of the book launch, I think I just had around 5 of the books or 10 of it at max, of which about 8 of them were already being given out to some people because they had either launched the book or requested for it. So the number of books that were published were really, really small. So even as I'm speaking right now, I just have one. So we'll call it the vintage copy. I just have one copy of that book. So, I mean, if you have a book at such limited quantity, it can't really go far. Like, the reach is really, really low. So that's one mistake. That's another mistake that was made in the process of publishing my work. Did anyone mentor me or guide me? Actually, I would say no. My parents were there, but it wasn't like I was the one pushing for this thing. I think it even resulted in us having some issues at that time because there was no money and I really wanted to publish my book. I was so desperate about it. I was fighting. I think we were even in debt for a while because we didn't really realize the money used in publishing that book during the launching. So that's something else that happened at that time. So it wasn't, I didn't really have like someone holding my hand. I didn't have a publisher or anything like that. I just did everything scrappy. All I just wanted was to know that I published my first book at 18. That was it. So the book was launched in a physical event. If you listen to the previous solo episode, I talked about having an event in 2017, which was my book launch. So he held on the 26th of November 2017 at Fruity Woods Hotel, Aba. Fruity Woods Hotel is located opposite NTA Aba. So if you are familiar with Aba, Abia State, if you know where NTA is, opposite NTA, the building that was there, I don't know if it's still there anyway. That was where we had the book launching. So the physical event, it was sweet, it was nice. My friends turned up for me because we're also using it to mark my 18th birthday. We're using the same event to mark our end of year party as a group, which is TIT4. We're also using it to celebrate our first anniversary as a group. A lot of people showed up to support me. A lot of my parents' friends, a lot of my own friends, my age mates, older people, a lot of my friends' parents also came. It was a very joyous event, but trust me, that was the first time I was hosting an event outside my comfort zone. So even securing a physical space, securing that hall for that event was a whole it was a whole drama on its own. Well, but thank God the day finally came. The books was, we unveiled the books. I don't even remember if I saw the book till that day. I think, yeah, maybe a copy or two before that day. It was crappy. But I mean, we really enjoyed the event. I think there was this song trending that time, Man's Not Hot. That was our jam. That was our jam. That was our jam that we played that song, we danced, we were so excited. And we're all looking very beautiful in our red. And, some had red and white, red and black. But majorly, we wanted to paint the city red. And I think we did. So we sold copies of that book. Was there imposter syndrome? I didn't even know what imposter syndrome was at that time. I mean, as a child, as a teenager, anything I imagined, I saw myself doing it. It didn't even matter if I had money or no money. It didn't matter no matter the challenges I faced, I just knew that as far as my mind has conceived it, it was going to happen. Sometimes I try to advise myself as an adult. I try to advise myself because there are some things I think I'm like, oh my God, where and how is this going to happen? For instance, let me just give a real life example. Mutation 25. So I'm planning on hosting Mutation 25 in November this year. And I'm like, I've not hosted an event in the last, 6 years? Secondly, I'm new to Lagos. I don't know anybody. The guests, how would they know that I'm a person of value, or would they even respond to my emails and all and all and all? But when I remind myself that in 2017, I had no money. I wasn't as, I will not say I wasn't as smart as I am right now. I wasn't as exposed as I am right now. I didn't have as much knowledge as I have right now. So it's even as an adult that I feel this whole imposter syndrome thing. And I feel like this is even where I even have more privileges to achieve whatever I want to achieve, because at least I earn a living. It's not like I make a lot of money, but I mean, I earn something compared to when I earned nothing. So no, there was nothing like imposter syndrome. The launch was a very beautiful, beautiful event. People made promises, people fulfilled their promises, but I think we were unable to realize the money that we used in launching the book. I think we even did it on credit. If I'm remembering correctly, I think we did it on credit and we had to repay the money by after the book launching. But the launch was a really beautiful event and we had a lot of fun. Let's face it, in today's job market, talent alone isn't enough. You need the right tools to position yourself for the opportunities you deserve. That's where I come in. I offer bespoke career branding services, tailored CVs, compelling cover letters, optimized LinkedIn profiles, creative portfolios, job search support, and interview preparation that gets you results. Are you fresh out of school, switching career paths, relocating overseas? I've helped people in your exact shoes secure life-changing opportunities, and you are no exception. You can go for a one-off service or choose a full package that transforms you from a job seeker to a job magnet. Are you ready to stand out? Send an email to godsdelightagro99@gmail.com or WhatsApp me on +234 909 378 1187 and let's get started. So, was there any lessons I learned from publishing my first book at 18? I would say a lot of lessons. First of all, when you are publishing, it can really be a very tiring process. It can be lonely sometimes. I just really thank God every day for my cousin Emeka, because without him, that book would not have been a reality. Another lesson is Your first book will never be perfect. Your first book can never be, like I've said repeatedly on this episode, my first book was very, very, very scrappy. You need to see a copy of the palm of the hand. Like I said, there was no dedication, there was no acknowledgement page, there was no copyright, there was no ISBN number, there was nothing. But I published the book. Even the even the book cover, I mean, I didn't even have a professional picture for the about the author. It was crazy, but it's never going to be perfect, and I mean that's totally okay. You don't have to have everything figured out in order to start. I'm glad that I actually published that book at 18. I'm glad I published it the way I did. I'm glad I did it. Even though it wasn't perfect, even though it wasn't the best, as far as that piece of work is there, it continually serves as a memory and a reminder to me that, okay, at so time, this is something that I did. Something else you will see is that not everyone will support you. I started to learn that very early on in my life when I published that first book. You will see that a lot of people who you call friends might not really be. I mean, I even started learning that lesson when I started Tit for. People that were my really, really good friends that were expect that, oh, as I started this Teens forum, they will attend the monthly meetings, they will invite their friends. They didn't. Most of the people that were even so invested in the movement were now people I wasn't even close friends with, or people that I wasn't like best of friends with. So not everyone will support you, and that too is okay. But you will find your people. There are friends I made by starting Tit for. There are friends I made in the book launch process and all. That's people that just gravitated towards me. So you will find them. And publishing my book did not make me famous. Because if I did not do this podcast episode, a lot of people don't even know that I've published a book before. They just know that, okay, Delight is a writer. That's all they know. She writes on Facebook, she writes on LinkedIn, she writes on Medium occasionally, she writes on Substack, but they wouldn't even know that I have a published work. So publishing a book, it didn't make me famous, but it made me brave. Like I said, that was the very first actual event I was hosting. It took a lot from me. It required money, it required resources, but it taught me a whole lot and it made me really, really brave. So these are some of the lessons I learned by publishing my first book at 18. Honestly, there was a whole lot that writing that book and publishing it at 18 gave me. There was a lot it did for me. First of all, it made me confident. I could say, oh, I'm an author, I'm a published author, this is my book. It's gave me credibility at a really young age. I mean, I was 18. So it opened me up to something like ANSA, which is an association for Nigerian student authors. I was a member of ANSA led by Dr. Kennedy Obowemu. So I was a part of that group. And I think there was another group, is it Young Authors Association or something? Anna. I think there is Anna. Association of Nigerian Authors. Yes, I was a part of Anna in Abia. I attended a couple of their meetings. And even when I went for the literary club thing, it was also because I was a published author. And it also proved to me that whatever I set my mind to do, that I can actually bring it to life. No matter, even if I have money or I don't have money, as far as I have imagined it, as far as I have seen it, as far as I have dreamt it, impossibility is not in my dictionary. Like, it is possible. Because if I could host that book launch, if I could publish that book, then there's really nothing I cannot do in this life. So if I was to publish a book or launch a book again, what would I do differently? What would I do differently if I'm to publish a book right now? Honestly, if I were to publish a book, let's say in 2026, I would take a year to actually plan it. I would take a year to plan the book itself, the editing process, the proofreading, the publishing, the cover design, the what's it called? I'll think critically about how I intend to launch the book. I'll think about how I intend to launch it. Is it going to be a virtual event? Is it going to be a physical event? Who are going to be the special guests? Who am I inviting for the event? And is it going to be just a one-off thing? How much are we going to sell the book? Where would the book be available? Is it going to be a physical book? Is it going to be an e-book? Is it going to be a mixture of both? Are we going to have it both as an e-copy and a physical copy? Are we going to distribute it? I'm going to plan out all of these things. Is it going to be sent out to bookshops? Who are the bookshops? Are we putting it on Amazon? Are we putting it on Seller? These are all the things I will have to sit down and plan. I'll critically think about how I want to market the book. Am I going to start a podcast series where I talk about the book and lessons in the book? Am I going to make a couple of videos and post on YouTube to promote the book? Am I going to start a book club in order to promote the book? Am I going to speak at events on podcasts to promote my book? These are all the things that I will have to critically plan if I were to launch a book today. I won't just want to do a very rushed and rough work. I'll make sure it's very high quality. I'll make sure it is something that I can be very proud of, because the work that I have right now, like I said, is really, really scrappy. It's not something I am so proud of. But if I were to do it again with all the knowledge and experience that I have right now, it's definitely going to be different. Trust me, it's going to be different. It's going to be different. So that's the story of how I published my first book at 18. And I hope this story has inspired you to know that you can actually achieve anything you set your heart to do. So if you are a young person who is listening to this podcast, who maybe like me, you've been writing and you really want to put out your work, or maybe you're a fashion designer, you want to put together your own fashion show, maybe you're a photographer and you really want to put together your photography exhibition, you're an artist, you want to put together your art fair, trust me, you can do it. There is no impossibility. Once you set your mind to it, it is achievable. As far as you can imagine it, you can make it happen. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for perfection. You don't have to wait till you have all the money. You don't have to wait till you have everything all figured. You just need to start. Because in the process of trying to do it, there's a whole lot that you are going to learn. Don't let analysis paralysis stop you from achieving the things that you want to achieve. You don't have to wait to be perfect. You don't have to wait till everything is all good. You just need to start. Because trust me, when you start, there's a whole lot you're going to learn in the process of starting. For instance, let me just give a very simple example. I started this podcast, right? Really scrappy. I wanted to start it in a very perfect way. I wanted to have a YouTube standard podcast studio. I wanted to have everything all set up. I wanted to have a quality mic. I wanted to even have an audio engineer that would be editing. But guess what? I started this podcast without having a fancy mic, without having any of all these things I've been waiting for. But I'm doing it. I did not know a thing about editing audios, but I am doing it. And that's all that matters, because in the process of doing it, there's a whole lot that you will learn. So if it's that fashion show that you want to do, please do it. If it's that art exhibition you want to do, that solo art exhibition, please do it. No matter what it is, if it's your book that you want to publish and you want to launch, please do it. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting to be perfect. Okay? So this is where I wrap the curtains. This is where I draw the curtains on today's episode of the Owning It podcast. I hope you enjoyed my story on how I published my first book at 18. Hey, real quick before we end, if you've been listening and thinking, maybe one day I'll tell my story, this is your sign. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just need to be honest. Honest is a space for real people, real voices, and real stories. So if you've lived through something that changed you, grew you, hurt you, or freed you, let's talk. If you know someone whose story you find inspiring, an African woman you would love us to invite, tell us in the comments below. Email us at owningitpodcast1@gmail.com or send us a DM on Instagram at owningitpod_. We're waiting. The world needs your story, not a perfect one, a true one. Like this episode, share with your friends and family, comment the moments that got you the most or the lessons you've learned. Rate us a 5-star so that the episode gets recommended to more people. I'll see you in another episode.